deal with that?
I'm so fired up. I am excited. It's unbelievable.
Do you feel like you're going to have to talk to all three to get them to buy into certain roles, or Asante in that regard? Or
I think all you got to do is look at the Green Bay Packers. What position did Rod Woodson play in nickel? How much nickel did the Green Bay Packers play? And that gets you excited.
Who would be the nickel right now?
Well, I mean, you pick them. I mean, all three of those guys could do it. You know, I think I hope I say this, Namdi is a special guy. He wants to make plays. I think he respects Rod Woodson. I mean, I think he'd love that role. You know, being able to blitz, you know, big, tall guy like that coming off the edge, and then all of a sudden press coverage on the slot guy. I mean, and, you know, sometimes if he's going to match, the slot guy may be the guy inside anyway. You know, so it's exciting.
So that would be the projection right now anyway, that Namdi would be the...
Things can change, but you know, I mean, it's exciting, you know.
It's exciting for you, but I mean, it could create uncomfortability if a guy's not willing to buy into it. How do you know
here's the thing: is that you know that really a nickel guy, a nickel defensive back, is really a starter in the NFL. I mean, the way people play. There's some teams that don't even play regular personnel, and then there's some people like the Colts. They play the 2 tight ends, 2 wideouts, and 1 back. And that extra tight end is a receiver. So you're playing that nickel the whole game. So you know what? We have 3 starters. You know, you need 3 starters. I mean, that's a great deal. We're excited.
Could you take a starter like Namdi, and if he started, say, at the right corner, move him into the nickel spot, and then move the third corner back to the right corner?
I'm gonna tell you, man, him and I rode in the car together to practice yesterday, and he was the one that mentioned to me what the kind of job that Rod Woodson did, and that he would be excited about a role like that if it went that way.
Green Bay last year, I mean, played nickel most of the time. I mean, regardless of what offense they were looking at. I mean, do you have the personnel to do that if you want to with your 3 corners? And
well, that's what we're talking about. Now you have the ability to do that, you know, and do some of those things, you know. I think they set a trend for people not to be scared to do that. It's just like, it's no different than sometimes having to play 3 wideouts, you know, with your base personnel versus people that you don't know how they're subbing, you know. And I think it's all a mindset too for the guys, you know. It's like today we were trying to work on a mindset. We're trying to get something across about being an intimidating defense. And that's what we were working on today. So I think those 3 corners understand how to intimidate people, and some of our other guys. But I want the whole defense to understand how it feels to just intimidate somebody. You know, that's what we were working on hard today.
What kind of an impact do you think Cullen Jenkins can make?
You know what he's. You know, we went against him a few times. You know, he's an excellent pass rusher. You know, a hard worker, smart player. A very good pass rusher.
Juan Castillo's been your nickel specialist for quite a while, and you guys pay him like a starter because you like the way he is now. Well, where does he fit in if you have the other 3 out?
How about dying? How about people playing 4 wideouts? How about sometimes with 3 wideouts having another athlete in there so you can do some more things? There's a lot of things. There's a lot of possibilities here. You know, really, I'm just trying to get past this practice and get ready for the next practice. I mean, you know, we want to take it one step at a time. You know, we're working on certain things today. This afternoon we'll work on some other things. Tomorrow's another day, you know, and we're just worried about every position getting a little better. It's a process. You know, kind of like Coach Reed's offensive line coach, and he taught me that everything's a process, that tomorrow will be a little bit better because we're working on the correct fundamentals. You see that the safeties are working on their hips. You know, everybody talks about hips for the safeties. You see the corners, they're working on plant, stab, and drive, which is very important for the corners. You see the linebackers working on taking on the block and shedding the block and making the play. That's a process. You see the D-line, and you saw them today, they're working on getting off the ball. So those are the things that we're going to do every day, over and over and over, and then we'll constantly get better. I'm not saying that there's not going to be bumps in the road, but when there's a bump, you go right back to your fundamentals because you have a plan. You have a plan on how to get better, and this is going to be a championship defense.
You have a lot of guys.
you're very young at linebacker right now. A lot of guys in their first, second year. What are you looking for from those guys as these camp days go on? I mean, what are you?
Well, you know what? I
be
tell
doing?
you what. I mean, you could probably answer that question for me. You, Mero, and some of you guys. Remember when you first got your chance? Right? How did you react? So look where you're at now. How did your boss take care of you? What did he do to you to help you get through those times so that you could get to where you're at now? You could probably write that down, and that'd be probably, hopefully, the same thing that I'm thinking, you know, because whoever did that did a good job with you guys. Could look where you're at now.
But I mean, specifically to a linebacker. I mean, what are you looking for a football player to be doing, differently as
well,
their
you know,
training
I
camps
think,
go on?
you laugh at what I said, but that's the key. How do you bring along guys like that? Fundamentals. All right, let them understand. When they make a mistake, hey, that's not your fault. That's my fault because I'm your coach, and it's my responsibility to teach you. That's what really. That's the teacher, right? When you have a classroom, I think when I taught class, and when you have a classroom, the kids that fail, they don't fail. Who really fails? Think about it. Who really fails? If you taught a classroom and you have 3 or 4 kids fail, who's really the person failing? I think it's the teacher not doing a good job teaching. And that's the way we want to look at it, because that's what Coach Reed has here is teachers.
Juan, you have several key guys who aren't able to practice yet until Thursday. What is your plan with them? What are you doing with them out there? Obviously, they have to just watch, but are you going over things with
Yes,
them? How are you
yes,
doing?
Les. They've been able to go to our meetings, and then their individual coaches are doing a good job spending time with them, going over some of the things. And football is football. They've been through they know the coverages that we run. It's just wherever they came from, how did they play 2 deep? What did they call man? But 2 deep, man, 3 deep, quarters, it's all the same thing. Maybe we're tweaking a couple of things and combining a couple of things, but it's more just the numbers, not as much the on the field stuff.
Do you think that this league is heading in a direction where 3 number 1 cornerbacks will be the exception? Be the rule more than the exception?
Well, you know what I think what it is everybody's trying to get 3 and really 4 good corners. The way people throw the football. You have those teams, for example, us, we want to have 4 good receivers here. And we do have 4 good receivers. And so now I think on the other side of the ball, you just transfer over. When I went to defense, one thing that I always think about all the things that Coach Reed would talk about the defense. And then now I'm trying just to flip things over, kind of like when I went from coaching defense to coaching the offensive line, I flipped everything over. Now I'm just flipping it back. Some of the things that I used to hear him talk about when he talked about what defenses did that made it hard for him as a play caller.
When we were watching, you're pretty fired up. You're always fired up, but it's early and you're slapping guys. You were jumping in on a dog pile. You headbutted one guy. Can you talk about how this new role allows you to be even more fiery?
Allows me to be myself. I'm a linebacker, and you guys, if you understand, I played at Texas A&I, and the guys that coached me, you had to be like that. Fred Jonas and Robert Young were individual coaches. Coach Harms was our head coach, but that's the way you played at Texas A&I. You played crazy like that. You had to, or you get your, that's back, there's no rules down there at A&I when we're NAIA. The coach may kick you in the butt, it was crazy. So you learn how to be physical and aggressive and play with energy. And when I started coaching on defense, that's the way I did it. And when I went to the offensive line, I always thought, get the offensive line to play like the defensive guys. So really, it's really fun for me because I can just be myself. And I said that's one thing that I was hoping I could do is just be myself.
Juan, getting back to John's question about the young linebackers, you put Casey in with the ones from day one. You obviously had confidence in him from just scouting him. How has he responded? What went into the decision to do that with him?
Casey's very smart, and he's very, what's the word I want to use? Calm, very, he's just like this. He doesn't get excited, doesn't get nervous, doesn't get excited when something, I'm like, and he's just like there. He's just waiting for me to make the call. He's just very confident individual. I think, imagine being him and sitting down for dinner since he's been a young kid and who he's sitting with now. Imagine what they've been talking all their lives, you know. And so, I mean, you couldn't help but learn a lot. But just sitting on, I would have liked to sit in that table, you know, and have dinner with him. I mean, it's incredible. And so we felt that he had those qualities, all right, to be a Mike linebacker.
Juan, Namdi was kind of giving Cecilio some pointers while he was on the sidelines there. How nice is it to have a guy with that kind of skill set and also the mind for the game to be on your secondary?
It's unbelievable. I mean, we're so excited, you know. I mean, you know, the whole personnel people, you know, and Mr. Banner, Mr. Lurie, Coach Reed, and, you know, bringing those kind of people here is very exciting for us as coaches, and I think for the rest of our players. And I think everybody understands that, you know, Coach Reed knows that defenses win championships, and that's what he's trying to do, is build a defense here to help win the Super Bowl.
You guys signed Asante. You had 3 legitimate starting cornerbacks, and Asante and Lido and Sheldon. Over time, obviously, one of those guys was traded. How is this situation now with 3 solid starters different from back then?
Well, you know what? I can't answer that one because I wasn't over there. You know, I had other things at that time that I was worried about.
Can you?
Last one, guys.
Do you have to worry about like taking care of people's egos when you do this kind of job? You know, with so many high-priced players, you know, worrying about contracts and stuff. Or do you just expect them to all just bond together, join in the program, share your enthusiasm, and get the job done?
You know, the thing here is that, you know, we talked about that in our first meeting to the guys that have been here and the guys that got here. Is, you know, we have a tradition here, you know, with Philadelphia Eagles, with Coach Reed. We've been to the playoffs 9 out of 12 years. We won almost 11 games a year, and I presented it to him. That's our tradition. And then I said to him, you know, that's not good enough. You know, we want to win the Super Bowl here. And I think everybody's in. Everybody's into that. They all understand that, you know, for us, you know, we have individual goals that Coach Reed and we set, you know, we have to win the East. We have to try to get a home field advantage. But our ultimate goal, and I think that's what keeps, you know, as you said, Eagles and all that, you know, together, because we have one common goal, you know, and that's what we're all working for.
How did Nate Allen look today to you? And guys were talking about how vocal he is this time around.
You know, he looks smooth, you know, and he's got a place with a lot of confidence, you know, and you can see that he's got a good burst. It's exciting that he's back.
All right, thanks, guys.